Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. Thank you for joining us. It is January 13th, 2021, and we are happy to be here. We're happy that we recovered from our retrace the other day, which we told you about yesterday. We are going to bring you the big boards today. We're going to bring you our hot, which has been doing nicely since that retracement, and that is, we'll leave it for a secret, I guess, until then. And then we're going to bring you a really interesting piece of news. I don't know if anybody has ever had a friend who's lost their wallet or lost their crypto, but we're going to bring you news on somebody who lost nearly $250 million in Bitcoin and can't get it back. Ryan will have that for us towards the latter half of the show. In the meantime, we're joined by Monty and CJ, our crypto analysts from MarketRebellion.com, and of course, my well-groomed host, Ryan Gorman. And Ryan, take us to the legalese, and we'll go from there, folks.
Yeah, buddy. This is just a reminder that all information provided by Trade the Chain is for informational and educational purposes only. This is not investment advice and should not be construed as such. And also, Trade the Chain is brought to you by Trade the Chain, a 24/7 community of crypto traders around the world that's now in 19 time zones. They rely on our dashboard of SIGDEV alerts, sentiment data, 1 hour price predictions, and a whole host of other information that they can access through the site to share trading ideas, go over successes, and just hang out and talk crypto. TradeTheChain.com for a 14-day trial.
And then we have Market Rebellion Crypto. And what this service provides is Monty and myself publishing trade insights, trade ideas on a weekly basis, as well as a macro portfolio where we switch the allocations in there every so often. We also have a platform with a live chat that I'll show you guys in just a moment that you can communicate with us. Some of the other stuff that's included in this is trade insights. As you can see, we have weekly webinars where you can ask Monty and myself any question you like. And then we just have our brand new education curriculum here, which we're aiming to drop about 1 new TA course a month. So you can get all of that if you sign up here for just $1 in the first month. And if you want to do that, you can go to marketrebellion.com/crypto. But overall, this is a community somewhat similar to Trade the Chain in the sense that, it's a community of traders, beginning and advanced traders from all around the world coming together to share these ideas and become the best traders that we can be. But without further ado, let's go to the big boards and talk a little bit about BTC, ETH, and what we're seeing, because after the drop just yesterday, a couple days ago, we're starting a little tentative rally here. And Monty had a nice trade in the community yesterday, or around 48 hours ago, on this 9, picking this bottom off the TD sequential 9 and then cashing out back on the TD setup resistance level at 37.7 or 35.7, excuse me. And what I was saying last episode was that this resistance level at 35,700 was going to be pretty important and ultimately kind of a milestone in my mind for the bullish case. If we break above this level, continue to form support, and then make another go higher at 40,000, this so-called 3 to 4 week pullback may be, it may cease to exist, and we may just go back if the bulls are that savage with the move. Personally, I don't think we're 100% there yet. I still think we are going to see some bearish price action, and we're not out of the woods yet. But after breaking above this resistance level, I'm interested to hear Monty's take.
Yeah, well, my perspective has definitely changed a bit in the last 24 hours because, like you said, I was watching that 35.7 level very closely, and I was kind of surprised to see this candle break above it, and we're looking like we may actually remain above this level for the duration of the day. So I think if we can get a couple 4-hour candles that close above this level, that would be very encouraging. And we talked a little bit today, CJ, on our webinar about kind of what fueled this rebound and why it bounced off 30K, like what caused it to reverse. And one thing that I found very striking was the amount of whales is at an all-time high. So it seemed like they were content to buy this dip. The amount of wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin in them has never been higher. So it seems like these whales were content to kind of profit off this retail panic selling and gobble up as much Bitcoin as they could at 30K. So I think that is one of the reasons why we're kind of leveling off. And for me, I've kind of changed my outlook from bearish neutral to just kind of neutral in the interim. And yeah, this is the chart I was referring to. So as you can see, the orange line is the number of addresses with a balance greater than 1,000 Bitcoin. And the gray line is price. So as price dipped, the amount of addresses with above 1K went up. So clearly the people that have a lot of skin in the game still have a bullish outlook in the long term for Bitcoin.
Interesting that the amount of whales hit an all-time high at the same time as outflows from Coinbase Pro, receded sharply from recent highs as well. For those who don't know, those outflows are often considered a good indicator of institutional purchases of Bitcoin. So do you think that institutional interest will return as price recovers, or do you think it'll largely be the whales and some of the hardier retail traders that will fuel this comeback if it does harden and solidify?
That's an interesting question about whether or not more institutions will jump in. I know we had a member in our chat in the community yesterday claim that Michael Saylor, he actually released a tweet that he's going to be trying to educate or holding rather educational kind of like lectures, I guess, educational lectures specifically for corporations and institutions to be able to get into Bitcoin similar to how MicroStrategy did it. And what I said was, well, he better be doing that. He basically turned MicroStrategy into a Bitcoin ETF. But that being said, it's going to be interesting to see who listens. It's going to be interesting to see various institutions who decide to move into Bitcoin. What we're seeing right now in the short term, I think, is a retail shakeout. While Monty kind of referenced those whale wallets that are holding strong. So I do expect more institutional interest, but we're going to have to see how it comes in.
One other thing worth mentioning, sorry, Alex, is that the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. GBTC,
what's the premium on that, Ryan? Do you know?
I don't know it off the top of my head. What I do know is that it was temporarily closed to inflows for the past couple weeks, right? So that probably also tempered institutional demand as well, because if I'm not mistaken, they're the largest single holder of Bitcoin, right? So they've been gobbling up quite a bit of it, especially as it's mined. So I think that also could have potentially had an impact on price appreciation over the past, or lack of price appreciation over the past few days or week even.
Yeah, that's definitely important to the momentum of price. And I think that's definitely part of the reason why we didn't really get a continuation of the bullish price action, is kind of the on-ramps for these institutions was lifted from underneath them. So yeah, I think the institutional interest is still there, but we just need, we just need that spark of the retail investors to get back in. I think the institutional traders haven't really been shaken out of this market. I think they're still holding strong. So I think the institutional demand is definitely still there.
18.02% is the premium to NAV right now.
And I mean, people have to realize that the corporates are doing a spread basis arbitrage play with GBTC. I mean, they're going in it, they're playing the premium, the basis points, and they're making good on it. I mean, everybody always says, hey, there's a lot of, institutionals are all believers and all this stuff, and I have to say that's not the case, people. That's institutions are not all 100% believers. They believe in the economics of it. There's plenty of let's say hedge fund short strategies, cash and carry strategies, statistical arbitrage strategies that play against Bitcoin, that bet against Bitcoin, just like the traditional sense. It makes sense when it makes money. And right now, Bitcoin is providing that reasoning behind it. So to Michael Saylor, who's done really well in Bitcoin treasury purchases. I think his seminars right now can be pretty short in the educational space. It's buy low and keep and sell high. Those are the economics, you know. What do we? Oh, I'm sorry. I also just want to break in for a second and give a quick update. VGX is up to 74 cents. Okay, so moving on, what is ETH telling us in the, oh, there's a GBTC trust. What's ETH telling us in the marketplace right now? It looks like it's still lock and step with Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to be, or rather ETH is going to just be bound to Bitcoin. And many of the large caps for that matter, including ADA, some others. Yeah, you know, it's interesting, some assets that are able to move independently of Bitcoin, but Ethereum just has not proven that it can do that yet.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
feel like we've gotten that at times, though, haven't we? When DeFi Mania came in at the end of the summer, didn't we get a little bit of uncorrelation, but ultimately it did come back?
Yeah, that's my opinion. Is that was because Bitcoin was kind of, there weren't a lot of trading opportunities because there wasn't a lot of volatility in Bitcoin. And typically when we see it in a neutral market environment, that's when people, specifically traders, can speculate on not only DeFi, but some of the other projects in the altcoin market. Bitcoin's not, how do I phrase this? Bitcoin, people think we may correct another 20%. People think we may go straight up from here. There's a lot of uncertainty since we've gone up so fast. So with that uncertainty becomes fear. And I just don't think Ethereum has fully shaken out of Bitcoin's kind of bubble or control, so to speak.
Do you think that's partly a result, at least, of the amount of Bitcoin wrapped on Ethereum? Because that just keeps going up from what I can tell. And that could explain at least some of the correlation where it hasn't existed in the past.
That's a good question, Ryan. And did anybody by any chance, did anybody by any chance see Richard Hart's tweet on wrapping Hex to reduce gas fees?
Take all my money.
What's that?
Take all my money.
You know, that was how he was pushing it, and you can wrap right there. There it is.
So this is wrapped ETH, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That just seems like a terrible idea. Okay.
Well, okay, you can unscreen share.
Just a little overcomplicated.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that's asking a lot of people, you know. I do think that the gas price issue is beginning to present a problem. Definitely a pretty strong headwind against Ethereum. You know, but there are multiple arguments with Cardano and ADA, and there's some people who believe in it, and then there's others that say, listen, it's not really all that different. It's not going to really impact it, you know. So we'll see.
I mean, not to cut off your train of thought there, but I mean, wrapped Bitcoin is just by itself the 13th largest coin on Trade the Chain, 4.18 billion. I mean, that has to at least somewhat explain the correlation between Bitcoin and ETH.
That's a good point. Don't know if that triggers it, but if it does, that would explain a lot of it, and in keeping with the tight ranges. Let's see here. Okay, so we're on to our hot. We have one. There's one that is standing out today, and it is DOT. And everybody knows I like DOT because of the logo. It's a really cool logo, but we're looking at DOT, and DOT right now is up about almost 24% in the 24-hour period. It's made a nice bounce back. What do the charts tell us, guys?
Yeah, so we're coming up on our previous high, at least on the 4-hour chart, and facing that previous double top at about 1030 is the next resistance level that comes in. But as you can see, strong sequential setup phase going all the way to the green 6 here. We'll have to see if that breaks above and creates a new high. If we create new highs and consolidate above 10, very bullish on DOT. I don't know if I'd enter a long trade right now since we've gone up so much in the interim with Bitcoin just increasing a little bit. You definitely get this on the daily perspective. You see that this is kind of possibly more of a one-off pump when compared to the emergence of actually a new bullish trend. So, I'll be looking at the daily chart. I'll be looking to, this 9.8 level to hold support, and look to pick up some more there. But DOT.
Yeah. Well, there's also there's a little event-driven news behind it too. I mean, Plasma Network has deployed its first parachain on Polkadot, and they're going through the test net now. This is something that was announced today, was going to happen, and that's a big deal. So, parachains are I spoke last month with the CEO of Moonbeam, and it's a very similar thing. They make parachains off the Polkadot network, and these things are basically derivatives of the Polkadot network that operate almost like it's literally its own blockchain. So it's very cool. Polkadot has a lot of versatility in the project like that, where these parachains can happen. And today they announced that Plasma Network has deployed it off the Polkadot. So be interesting to see how that news kind of rallies the ticker a little.
I sold my DOT on January 13th. I'm not too pleased about that.
Okay, we're gonna have a whole episode with Doomsdayer Gorman over there, who's gonna tell us how he sold out of VGX, how he sold out of Polkadot, how he sold out of XRP.
I've mastered the whole sell into the rally strategy.
I was about to say, our customers can make a lot of money just by, when Ryan sells, buy a little bit more. It's about to rally.
100%.
It's like the anti-Kramer index against Jim Cramer.
If you're watching this and you don't know, we are inadvertently giving you huge nuggets of investment advice. What Monty just said about Ryan is so true. It's a bicycle. All right, onward to the last thing before we announce our winner of our $50 Bitcoin giveaway is a poor gentleman who has lost almost $250 million of his Bitcoin. Ryan, tell us what's going on here and why we shouldn't pull out the tissues. I don't know.
Absolutely. Oh, hey, my dog just joined us. All right, so Ripple's former CTO, Stephen Thomas. I'm not sure exactly when he left Ripple, but he was probably thinking recently, wow, I dodged a bullet. And then he goes to access his, nearly $250 million worth of Bitcoin, and he's been locked out of his hardware wallet. And he has only 2 password guessing attempts left before it wipes it clean and he loses it forever. This guy was paid 7,000 Bitcoin 10 years ago, worth about $2 each, so $14,000 to make a cryptocurrency explainer video. The same thing we do on a daily basis. He made $14,000 in Bitcoin for it, and now he can't access it. Now that's worth almost $250 million. I mean, where do you even begin with this? The guy, the quote, it's haunting. I just lay in bed and think about it. I would too. It's $250 million. I guess I'd rather lose $250 million than have to defend myself against that Ripple lawsuit. But still, this isn't good. I mean, I feel terrible for this guy. This is awful.
Yeah, talk about a rough month for him. I mean, you got your name attached to XRP. Now this embarrassment. Like, I was actually wondering before we started this, like, I didn't know how this story got out, because if he was the one who came out and said it, that'd be so embarrassing. If this was me, I would never tell a soul, but I guess it was public record, so he had to get exposed here.
It was originally in the New York Times as part of a larger feature article about people who lost their Bitcoin wallet passwords and can't access their Bitcoin. And CoinDesk, thankfully, or whatever, they pulled out this little nugget of information because it's relevant to the crypto industry. And Schrodinger's Bitcoin, I've laughed at that like a dozen times. Every time I say it, that's just poor guy.
Yeah, I think if we could say one thing that we should take from this, it would just be, guys, everyone who's watching this, if you're moving Bitcoin or crypto to an external hardware wallet, just be very careful and have a high attention to detail, because this isn't just some newbie coming into the space. You know, this is a CTO of one of the largest cryptocurrency institutions currently that can't access their Bitcoin. So, you know, I can relate to this a little bit. It's definitely painful if you've ever lost Bitcoin in the past. But we were discussing before the show, which would be worse? You know, would you rather be Pete Best or this particular individual? If you don't know who Pete Best was, he was the Beatles drummer all throughout like the brothels in Munich, and really before the Beatles, like when they were in the minor leagues. And then as soon before they went on the Ed Sullivan show, they went, all right, Ringo, you're in. You're a new guy. And this Pete Best individual was played with the Beatles for over a year, but never got to experience the fame, the superstardom, the wealth.
Off you go. Goodbye.
So would you, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, and you look at, so we were also looking at the comparative money loss. Pete Best has a net worth of about $600,000, according to whatever sources are available online. Ringo Starr is $350 million. So this is about the same, only I guess this poor guy from Ripple doesn't have to listen to Beatles music everywhere he goes like that guy did back in the 60s. But still, I mean, I bought like $1,000 worth of Bitcoin like, I don't know, 6 years ago, and I lost that wallet. And I'm kicking myself because that's a nice chunk of change.
It's probably like $1 million now, Ryan.
But $240 million worth of Bitcoin is just on a different level. Like that's just, you know.
Oh gosh, well, poor guy. I wouldn't want to be him right now. That's unfortunate. Okay, on to our winner for the $50 Bitcoin weekly giveaway, which is coming from CJ's Beer Money. And that winner is Harley Marks. So Harley Marks, and your handle is Harley Marks 1918. Shoot me a DM on Twitter at Alex Mascioli to confirm it's you. I want to make sure it's you. We actually have had a few people just shoot me an email and be like, yeah, that's me. So Harley Marks 1918, shoot me a message on Twitter, and we will get that $50 of Bitcoin out to you ASAP. Outside of that, don't forget to check out marketrebellion.com as well as tradethechain.com. And happy trading and happy hodling, and we'll see you guys for tomorrow's episode. Thanks, everybody.
Congrats, Harley. Thanks, everyone.